Good afternoon. Welcome to Think Lab 22. Michael, nice to
Hello,
see you.
hello, David.
You look like you're on a safari. You have a plant nearby. You're on your cell phone.
No, yeah, I'm in a plant. I'm in the office. I'm downtown in the North Loop, hanging out,
No
sitting
tie
on the
today.
couch.
You're casual.
Got a suit on.
I know. I was just giving you a hard time because you don't have a tie on. I should have had a tie on with my hoodie. That would have been kind of,
Oh my God, you're so funny.
yeah. How are you? Welcome. We haven't been on for a while. We've had a couple of
I
life events
know.
going on. I was out, you were out.
We had Memorial Day. Yeah, but I'm doing well,
How's biz?
and business is fine. I have a closing tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Seller?
the buyers had to put on the boxing gloves to get this one, but they got it.
Nice.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's exciting. Yeah. Somebody asked me over the weekend, how's the market? And I'm like, it depends. I mean, I don't know what you're experiencing, but I'm experiencing that it's very micro pocketed. It's how it is in Woodbury is not how it is in the city of St. Paul, like in McAllister Groveland or in Miriam Park. And I'm sure it's different in Eden Prairie and Minnetonka. I mean, it's just very, very micro marketed, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think that's a great question. I think it still comes down to how smart the seller, whether we have the seller or we have the
Hmm.
buyer, is pricing the house.
Yes,
We're
because it's
seeing
still,
things that go in what I would say a relatively short time, not
mhm,
COVID time, not like you have to sit while you're writing, on the front porch.
right,
Um, or they sit. And every time I've ran a report for a client, the days on market generally over any period are up, no matter the whether it's Duluth, whether it's North Shore, whether it's somewhere in between, whether
mhm,
it's Metro. The days on market are up for whatever period, X to Y.
right,
But what's interesting is when you look at it, the days on market, and you look especially like pendings or solds, you see days on market 4, 6, 7. And then you
right,
see 35, 40, whatever. You don't
right,
see hardly anything in that middle gap. So it's either going that first 7 to 10 days or it's
right.
going 30 days or more.
And we've talked about this many times on our podcasts until we've been blue in the face and like we're just repeating ourselves over and over. But pricing is one of, if not your best marketing tool, besides a killer realtor. But the thing is, a killer realtor will push back on a seller that is trying to overprice their property and just advise them, listen, it you're just going to sit there and there's it's you have to price at market or a little under. You just can't be pushing it. I
I
mean, hey,
think,
I was just in a meeting. We have what we call Marketing Monday at our office. There's a group of us that get together and talk about how to best market properties for people. And one of the hottest markets is over in the Como Park neighborhood of St. Paul, and it was on the lake, and it sold in the first weekend, but they only got two offers, but they're both great and they were able to sell. So, don't necessarily think that you're going to be competing against 10, 12 offers all the time, but two offers and it went and it's pending. So,
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I still, the other thing that was really interesting was I had two new listings on Friday. One
ooh, good for you.
one was in Cotton, um, north
Where's
of
Cotton?
north of Duluth. It's the coolest little community. There's so many great properties up there. To me, it's kind of that hidden gem. It's about an
Yeah.
hour outside of Duluth, give or take.
Oh,
Um,
that's far.
what's that?
That's far. But you know what?
Well, yeah,
That's, yeah,
but you don't
well,
have to go through Duluth, which is awesome. You go up through Cloquet. you go north through Cloquet, and so you
Right.
avoid the Duluth traffic. And but there's other areas that are closer, but in a general area, it's whatever.
Okay.
Um, we had immediate activity. Friday, Saturday, high showings. It's tapering down. We had a new listing in North Branch. Same day went on Friday.
Hmm.
Hardly anything Friday, hardly anything Saturday. Yesterday and today, volume of showings.
Okay.
And they're kind of completely polar opposite. And I don't know if the cotton one resonated more because it's more maybe northern people looking at it as a northern escape or just the prime, um, people that are going to be, it's going to be their prime residence. And maybe the Metro, the North Branch one was more of there's grad parties, there's a lot going on. It's the first major weekend.
Hmm.
And we'll look at it at the end of the weekend or Monday. I don't know.
Is the
That's how much.
property in Cotton on a lake?
No,
Okay.
it's
Is
on
it
a
in the
river.
woods?
River. Yep.
Is
River
it
and
is
wooded.
the
Yes.
okay? Well, hey, you know what? People from the Duluth metropolitan area, they probably don't like us saying that, but it's the truth. They might want to bomb out to Cotton just an hour way to be in some privacy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, and I really like that area. That's a fun area. All right. So I have
Hmm.
something to kind of bounce off you. You ready?
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard of this book. It's exactly what to say for real estate agents. Um,
Yeah.
Number 29, it says, have you ever started a phone call with somebody using the words, is now a good time to talk? If so, stop. These words served a purpose at a point in history when the phone ringing was a rare occurrence. Phones were connected to walls by cords, and telephone conversations was viewed as a formal means of conversation. In today's times, more often than not, it's an inconvenient time to have a conversation. The recipient will just simply divert it to voicemail or ignore it. I thought that
Hmm.
was interesting because I found myself using that point this weekend. Do you have a minute? We were reviewing certain things with offers, buyers, and sellers, and I found myself using that. And I think that line kind of resonated. So I was looking back, finding it. So, do you use that line at all?
Well, if I was to call straight out of the blue without giving them a warning or asking if I can call via text, if I just picked up the phone and dialed and they answered, yeah, I would say, hey, Mike, um, is this a good time for you to chat or now? And if they, sometimes people will say, you know what, no, give me 5 minutes. And I call back in 5 minutes. Um, Usually what I do is I text people and I say, can I give you a call? And they might say, yes, in an hour, yes, in 5 minutes, and whatever. Um, so I don't know. I don't think it's a dead thing to say. I don't think it diminishes the importance of the call because the phone has changed. I mean, back in the day when the phone rang, you kind of were excited to answer it. Now it's kind of like, oh God,
Yeah, I was
I don't
trying.
know.
I was, I'm on my phone all the time. I actually looked up
Hmm.
yesterday on an iPhone if there's a way to
Hmm.
see how many calls and texts you had.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I was on all day with showings, with showing requests,
Hmm.
reschedules, cancels, working offers, presenting offers, giving
Hmm.
offers, reviewing offers. It
I
was
mean,
just
I'm not gonna
funny.
lie. The phone rang. I mean, it was like, nah. I had a big weekend, and Saturday night I was tired, and so I'm not gonna lie. I went to bed, and it was like 9:30, and I had my phone in my hand. I had my earbuds in, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I was probably doom scrolling, or I was probably just watching or listening to something that was kind of relaxing, just to kind of like, I just wanted some time to just like unwind. And all of a sudden, I'll be a son of a gun. A realtor was calling me. And I'm like, I'm not answering that phone call. It's like, I am not discussing this. offer that we're dealing with at 9:30 at night. I'm just not going to do it. So I just texted back, unavailable to speak. Can we please speak in the morning? And they were like, absolutely. So in the morning when I woke up, I mean, I texted her and I'm like, may I please call? And she was like, sure. So we got it taken care of. And I just flat out said, I was so exhausted on Saturday, I just could not take the call. And her reply was, I don't blame you. And good for you. I should do that more often. We still got it done. It was
Sure.
still time is of the essence. But I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. And I don't think I would have been very effective for my person that I represent, but I can't answer those questions without asking them anyway. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to call this guy or text this guy at 9:30. We can do this tomorrow.
So
And
my
we still got the house and everything is good.
um my so we haven't talked for a while, and not only here, but just even in some general phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so confused on what the industry is doing.
Right.
No, it's just funny. And part of me wants to be over here in the micro world
Mm-hmm.
that only is worried about Dave, think Minnesota. And part of me wants to be way over here and be in the macro world about where's the industry going? How can we take this, bring it back to here? Part of
Mm-hmm.
me feels like there's no middle ground right now. You either get sucked into everyone suing everyone, the MLSs making decisions or not, or NAR changing this, changing that. Um, the big like code of ethics and hate speech issue. I don't know if you've been following that. And
Mm-hmm.
NAR made a statement, then they reversed it. Like it's so like I've always prided myself in being here and here at the same time and bringing stuff over.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems now like the macro and the micro are more divided than ever, and in the middle is just mud. And I know you don't, you've I think made it clear that sometimes you just want to put your head down and just worry about Mike. And
I do,
I
but
kind of jealous of that.
no, don't be jealous because I mean, I can say that kind of sarcastically, but in reality, I can't and I don't put my head down and just worry about Mike all the time. But there's sometimes when I'm getting better at compartmentalizing things. I have come to realize that I can't multitask when I'm thinking about the big picture, keeping up to date about what's going on with NAR, keeping up to date with Code of Ethics. I mean, that's one thing. But when I'm dealing with a buyer, or dealing with a seller, or dealing with a marketing issue, then I'm kind of like focused, just thinking about me and what's best for me and my clients that I represent. We had an issue. I don't know. I don't want to go into that, but I don't put my head in the sand and ignore the big national, international macro things, but I try to keep them separate. But one of the big macro things came up this weekend because it was related to compensation. And one of the buyers that I was representing, we have a fiduciary of obedience and a fiduciary of doing what they ask us to do, being loyal to them. And this particular buyer wanted to ask this particular price on the offer. They wanted to ask the seller for these particular closing costs. And then on the offer, we wrote in that this was going to be my compensation. And the seller basically said, I'll do this, but I won't pay the compensation now. And the buyer said, what does that mean? And I said, well, that means that the compensation comes from you, like we discussed on our buyer representation agreement. And, you know, he was like, oh, I'm like, well, I have to get paid from somebody. So the whole negotiating the buyer's representation compensation was very real. And so the buyer chose to reconstruct the offer in a different manner. And when we reconstructed the offer in a different manner, the seller accepted the offer. So, you know, that was a macro issue with buyer representation compensation, whether it comes from the seller or whether it comes from the buyer. And I think it worked exactly like it's supposed to because it was a negotiable item and we got through it. Um, so, I mean, I think in that sense, I wasn't just thinking about Mike, I was thinking about the macro, but I had to advise and we negotiated and we got it done. So I think the new law worked well. We got a transaction under contract and everybody seems to be happy. And so there you go. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, I mean, the story is great. I mean, I just kind of went through that this morning with someone. But
Mm-hmm.
what's funny is what you're talking about was able to get negotiated out because the court said this is the rule, and it didn't leave a lot of wiggle room.
No.
What's going on now is no one's taking the lead. Everyone's deferring to everyone. And when you have rules getting sent back to the MLS, it becomes a free-for-all.
Well,
And
I don't know. I think we worked within the constructs of the new rules and the
no, that's what
constructs
I
of the
said is
law.
I that's what I'm agreeing with you is that
I mean, we
that's
even got the lender involved
right.
because he was like, talking about closing costs. And I said, listen, this is when I use my corporate medical device sales experience because, there were lanes. When I was in a sales situation in the hospital, I couldn't discuss, FDA studies. And I'm thinking, and I said, listen, I don't want to cross into the lane of the lending rule because I'm not a lender. So I called the lender, explained what was going on, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, we are constructing offers so many different ways now." And so he contacted the buyer, and the buyer then called me back and he goes, "Oh man, thank you. I had a great conversation with the lender, and thank you for deferring that to me. And we've got a great plan." And I'm like, "Awesome." So the buyer, me, the realtor, C, the lender. I kind of viewed that as a three-legged stool. We were stable, came to an agreement, got an offer constructed, got it accepted. Everybody's happy, including the seller, or the seller wouldn't have accepted the offer,
Do you
in my
do any
opinion.
buybacks or buy downs?
I have never done a buy down for me. Are you talking about like rates?
Yeah.
Mm-mm, I haven't done that. I've, it'll happen, I'm sure, but I haven't yet.
Have you had any presented to you?
Um, I remember discussing buy downs back when the rates were considered really high back in the day after they were like 2.9, 2.8, and they were just kind of going ding, 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 ding. Remember that was like,
Yeah.
uh, it was almost like being on a roller coaster and climbing
Sure.
that hill. I remember those, but I haven't ever done one.
Yeah,
Haven't.
I haven't either. I've had clients ask about them. Um, I worry about them, but um, what what
Um, yo, I like your give. Let's do some rapid fire. I love your rapid fire.
all right. What movie as a kid scared the bejesus out of you?
Like as a little kid, Pinocchio,
Pinocchio. Oh gosh. All
because
right.
I didn't want to be put in. I didn't want to be put in the wagon and taken away by the boy catcher.
When was the last time you told somebody younger than you, whether it's your children or anyone, about the good old days, rotary phones, anything like that, or
Yeah, it happens a lot because I have a couple of young people that work with me, and you know, you could say I'm their mentor, but in a lot of ways they're mine because they help me with a lot of things. But just like just last week, I said something about dialing something up on YouTube. Like, just dial this up on YouTube. And they're just like, whoa, dial it up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, come on, Grandpa Mike. I remember when I would dial phones and I used to love 990.
Right. Right. No, that's funny. All right. So Pinocchio and then
I,
last
I
one.
did not like the boy catcher. Gosh, that scared me to death.
The what?
When in Pinocchio, when they had the boy catchers and all the boys got put in that, never
I
mind.
never saw it.
Oh,
I
you
told
never
you
seen Pinocchio?
no.
Oh gosh. Okay, continue.
Told you I've never really watched any of those shows.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I know conceptually,
Or
but
maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Pinocchio.
well, if Mike is wrong that the boy
Or was it a
catcher,
live? Or maybe was it a live? It was a live movie. But yeah, this scary dude. But they crawled into the back of a circus thing, and then the circus thing fell off, and it was they were in this cage jail, and they were all and all these boys got captured, and that scared me.
I was watching Brands That Built America or something on History Channel. It was on the
Hmm.
computer and it talked about the BlackBerry. It talked about all the old phones, how the phones came about, how Apple was kind of late to the game, and it was
Wow.
it was just kind of funny talking about that and how the phone came about. And when you see these shows and you look back at go, oh, I remember that, and they have this little quiz before you go.
Uh-huh.
It's like, what is the number one selling phone? And it was the little Nokia
Oh my gosh. I had
100.
I had a Nokia, I had a BlackBerry, I had them all.
So
I
my
had yeah.
I've only broken one phone in my phone career, and it's
Hmm.
the little Nokia. I was carrying something and I was walking up to a door and I dropped my phone and I didn't want it to hit the cement. So I like put
Hmm.
up my foot, but I kicked it and I kicked it into the brick wall and it shattered. So
Oh my gosh.
that was a little Nokia 1100.
Okay, so I have to think of a rapid fire for David. So how uh I don't know, I'm bad at these. I can't think of one.
So first car you had, that was your own, so to speak.
Oh, I had a Honda Prelude.
I
I had
didn't
a
know. Wait, I
I
always
had
forget. Are you
I
older
think
than me or younger than me?
oh
You're
my
older.
God, I'm way older than you. I'm 61.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So
A
I got
Prelude,
to
was it? When did
a
the
hot oh my God, Honda Preludes were the greatest. I had a 1979 Honda Prelude that I got when I was in college, and it was a 5 speed, and it was awesome. But I don't. But it didn't have air conditioning. It had a great stereo, and when I had it down in college, one of my friends from Kansas City, he'd always come up to me. And he goes, "Stanton, can I borrow the lute?"
All right,
I'm like, "Sure."
what was the cassette or CD that you guys listened to going to school with your buddies? Do you have one?
Um, when I was in college, are we talking college?
No, high school.
Oh my God, there was no such thing as a CD when I was in high school. It was
Or
all
cassette.
cassette.
We had a
It was.
cassette. Mine was, I remember this guy, if he's watching, I doubt his name was Jim Hand. He was older than me. I was a freshman.
Hmm.
He would pick me up and he always had Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes, which is one of my favorite album, disc, whatever they're called, titles.
I don't
I
know.
just love that term, Damn the Torpedoes.
I had this one record that I got because I was watching like Friday night videos or something like that on Friday night. And it was a local band and they were called the Producers. And I loved this record called The Producers. So my friend and I, John, we used to always listen to The Producers.
Hmm,
I think it was a local Minneapolis band. I heard them on Friday night videos.
funny.
Yeah,
You know what's
they were
really kind
cool.
of odd is like how social media works, we've talked about social media. I clicked on something for Hamilton. I don't know if
Hmm.
Hamilton, I think they played Sunday night. There was some, was it the Tonys or something that was on? And
Yeah, I think the
like
Tonys
that,
were on.
my phone or my social media feeds are Hamilton, Hamilton, Hamilton. I was like, God,
I've never seen Hamilton. I really want to go see Hamilton.
it's fabulous.
Um,
I
I
haven't
went
seen
to it
it in person. I've just seen the movie.
yesterday. I went to a Twins game at the Target Field, and we got to sit in a suite, and it
I
was
saw that.
awesome.
I saw that. Yeah.
I was at a 50th wedding anniversary on Saturday for my wife's sister and brother. So my sister and brother-in-law, and my wife was the maid of honor at the wedding when she was 9 years old. She was the
Oh,
little
wow.
sister, and of course, in the middle of the party, I was walking out to the car, and my wife's like, "Why do you have your backpack with you?" And I'm like, "Because I can't go anywhere without my computer." I go, "What happened? What?" And sure enough, in the middle of the party, I had to walk up to my wife and say, "I'll be hiding in a bedroom just for a few minutes. Don't worry about me." And I was writing that offer.
That's funny.
But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. But
Gotta
I
do
mean, I
it.
got it done, came back out, joined the party.
Oh, do you know how many times I've like completely reconstructed a day because I had to submit an offer, I had to review an offer, the number of errands, the
Hmm.
lawn mowing. I mean, I mowed the yard yesterday because I
Hmm.
had this window, my phone didn't ring.
Hmm.
Purposefully thought, okay, I'm gonna mow the yard and I'm not gonna wear my things because I don't want to hear my phone.
Right.
I stopped every 5, 10 minutes, whatever, to empty the bag. I don't know. I hate
Hmm.
it. And I would check my phone. It was just showing requests and everything. But that
Right.
little hour to do the yard work was just great, just turning it off. So,
But I'll tell you what, I have had a couple good weekends because I do have a couple of young realtors that are helping me. And I'm telling you, it's the greatest. I'm actually contemplating formulating a group. And at the same time, I really like having this alliance because it's not officially mine, but we're all helping each other.
you
And I
need to
do.
do a team. That's next week's topic. You need to do a team.
Mikey needs a team.
Yep. Because you have a lot to offer. All right. I gotta
Oh,
go.
well, that's very kind of you.
I have
I'll
a hard
accept that.
split. That's next week's topic.
Okay.
So I need you
Bye.
to come up with how, when, where.
Okay. How,
Ciao.
when, where? Ciao.